Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video showing the the entire process of what it takes to get an order that's placed on Etsy, and then all the way through designing it and making it and then finally shipping it out to the customer. Wanted to go through a couple different things. I'm just going to be able to show you pictures of how I do the process on Etsy because I want to kind of protect everybody's information, but I'll have some pictures of that, and then I'll do a screencast of how I design the project, and we'll do the cam on it, and then we'll post it out to the machine. Then we'll go in the shop and we'll set up the machine, set up the material on the machine, and then go ahead and cut it out and do the final finishing work, and then we'll package it and drop that bad boy at the post office. So, yep, go ahead and watch on. Alright, let's get started. So first thing we want to do is we'll go to our Etsy dashboard and we'll look and see, go to shop activity, and we'll go ahead and see our order here, and we will click on view order, and then we will go ahead and print the order once we look at it and see, and we'll go ahead and change the description down here to match what the customer bought, and then we'll push print order and that'll print it out. Okay, so now that we've printed our order, we know exactly what the customer is looking for, and we can go find us an image of a fox. So easiest way to do it is either draw your own or have someone else draw it for you, or in this case, we could go to Google, type in fox silhouette. We can go to images, we can search through here, find an image that's not copyrighted or watermarked or has anything that is free public use, and we can use that. Already went over with the customer on an image, and we settled on an image that we were going to use when we decided to create the order, so we're good to go. So then one way to do it is to go over here to vectorization.org and choose our file that we saved. We're going to use this fox right here, and double click it, and then we'll output to SVG. We'll start, wait for it to process all day every day, and then we'll click on our image right there. Comes down here and we got our SVG, and that's the easiest way to do it. Then one thing that I do is I'll import it here into V-carve, and then I can scale it to the proper size. See, like this one, this is a returning customer. They originally wanted aluminum foxes, and then they decided not to go with aluminum, so we're going to make these out of 1/8 inch plywood. And these ones are ones I previously made. They're 8 inches in width and 2.79 inches in height, and I cut those. One thing you got to look though is, you see on the original SVG here, these lines aren't connected. These gaps aren't connected for the feet and then for the mouth. So that what I do is I'll go in here and I'll create lines and attach them here, and and then we'll go here and use the scissors to cut them, and we'll connect these and we'll end up with an image like that. So just take a little bit of time, not too much time, because we don't get paid for any of this. I can't really charge the customer for any of this design work, not on this small order, not with 2 little foxes. I do have a set design fee that I charge on bigger projects. I have a set CNC hourly rate that it needs to make to operate on larger projects, but something small like this on Etsy, you gotta kind of bite the bullet and get it done fast. That's when you become proficient in the software here. So what we'll do is we started out with our 8-inch Fox right here, and then we'll just copy and paste it and go into, this is a 12-inch size because we're making 12-inch Foxes. So what we'll do is we'll select that, then we'll hold shift, we'll select that, then we'll go over here to file, and we'll export to DXF. So that seems to work. And then we got over here aluminum Foxes. Let's see, let's call that plywood Foxes. I don't know, 0.125 inch. And I always categorize, all my stuff is ridiculously categorized, so you keep yourself, so you know what you're doing. And yeah, so we'll name it that, and we'll save it. Okay, and then we'll go over here, we'll go into Fusion, and here's the original file when I cut the first ones of the two 8-inch Foxes. So we can go over here, we can go to DXF, we can go to select the plane that we want, and we'll do that bottom. I have mine so Z, Y, and X is set up. Then we'll go over here, we'll choose our file, and we'll go over here, aluminum Foxes, and we'll see our plywood Fox, and then we'll open it up. Maybe it takes forever, I don't know. The problem is, I'll show you real quick what is going on with this, and we'll call that good. Okay, see all these little lines right here? This is because when the image was converted to an SVG, it wasn't of high enough quality. Usually a good starting point for high enough quality is 2000 by 2000 pixels and, like, I don't know, 300 DPI or something. See how it's slowing me way down? It's I don't know, slows Fusion way down because it's trying to calculate all these different little things. But I'll show you how to get around that in the cam side. These are like so microscopic little arcs and stuff that are in here. I'll show you how to get around it in cam. So there's a way to get around it. So we'll turn off these old ones, and we will press pull this up. We're gonna go, I don't know, say 125, 0.125 for 1/8 inch. Okay, push OK, and it's gonna take forever again because it's trying to calculate all those stupid little things. Okay, maybe. Okay, so now we got that. So we got our body right there. Now we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna copy this body, and then we're gonna paste another one because we need 2 of them. Okay, so then we're gonna space it out, I don't know, 5 inches or so. It looks pretty good to me. And we'll push OK. Okay, now we got 2. Now everybody says you need to convert bodies to components, and I haven't figured out why. They said I'm not the best at Fusion, but they say that you're supposed to convert it to a component for when you start working in the cam side of things. It makes it easier. I don't know. So we'll go ahead and do that though. So create a component of that one, and we'll create a component of that one. We're going to rename that Fox 1 and rename this Fox 2. Okay, so now we got our Foxes. Alright, so now we'll go to cam, and this is a previous setup for the little ones. Okay, and then we'll go up here, new setup, and we'll see it automatically selects them. So I always, on my machine, this is the way I do things, but a lot of people tell you need to start in the lower left hand corner. On my machine and the way I've done stuff, partly because the way that my computer set up, my screen, and how the machine's oriented in my shop, I start over here on the lower right hand corner or in the center. I don't know, it don't matter, but I don't like doing it over there. It's up to you, the user preference. So we'll go to fixed size box. We always, I don't know why it rounds up to 0.5, it's retarded, but we'll go down to 0, and now we got our setup. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is wait for it to load. Apparently it's gonna, I have a pretty good computer, but I don't know why it always just slows down. Fusion always gets real slow when it has all those little lines. I guess it's just taking a lot, or the hardware. I have a custom built computer, but I don't know what that was going on. Maybe I didn't build it right. I don't know. My first computer build. So we'll go in here and we're gonna pick the, we're gonna do a pocket. We're gonna pick the eyeballs, and on both of them, okay, we want to just pick the bottom there. And then we'll go over here and pick our tool, and here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna fool the cam into using an 1/8 inch bit, because we use a 16-inch bit. It's gonna take forever, and mind you, we're not making a whole lot of money on this because it's just 2 little fox cutouts. So we need to speed up the process, and I've already specified and told the customer, and they know that it's not going to have all these crazy little detail points in it. You know, if you want to get down to a 32nd inch bit and you want to go around and do all of that, the customer needs all that detail, it's fine. But, you know, this is what the customer is expecting. And as you can see, this is made with an 1/8 inch bit. So you can see that all the contours are accepting an 1/8 inch bit. So this is what I specified to the customer, and they know that's what they're getting. So if they want more detail, then it's going to cost more money. So because it's going to take longer to design. So we're going to go with the 1/16, and we're going to go ahead and do our speeds and feeds. If you guys would like me to make a video on different speeds and feeds and tooling that I use and everything like that, let me know and I'll make a video on it. We'll change all of our speeds to 100. We're going to ramp in at 90 inches a minute, and let's see, we're going to plunge down to 20 inches a minute, and we're going to set our heights here. I always like to set my heights at 0.5. That seems like a good height for me. And this is all my clearance heights. And we're gonna do, this is just plywood. We're gonna do conventional milling, and do preserve, order, both ways, step over, doesn't really matter on this one because it's a through cut. No stock to leave, no multiple depths, and smoothing is where we're gonna cure all those little lines in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 0 out of there and make that our smoothing tolerance. What that does is it tells it to smooth over these different little points into a more smooth, because right now this is kind of jagged. Of course, you'd never see it on plywood, but you might see it on like metal or something like that, but this, you know, we don't need to worry about that. So we'll just set our smoothing tolerance to that. Linking, I don't ever like to lead in, lead out on that, and we'll do a helix type ramp. I like to use 3 degrees. Ramp diameter, doesn't really matter on this. And we'll push OK. And you can see we're ramping in, and you can see our tool path down there. So, and that should work just fine. Okay, now we need to come back and we need to do our contour, and we'll go ahead and pick our outer contour. There we go. We're going to use the same 16th inch because we're going to trick it, and that's good. We're going to set our heights 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. We're going to go back conventional milling. Preserve order both ways, smoothing. We're going to take that 0 out of there. We don't need to do multiple depths because it's only 0.125 and we have a 0.125 inch end mill. No lead in, no lead out. I don't like doing that. going to go 5 degrees, and we're going to change the ramp step down to, I don't know, 2 inches. Let's see what that gives us. Alright, look at that. That should work. See, it'll come and start ramping, and it'll ramp all the way down to right there. Should be okay. It'll work for us. Maybe. Alright. So then we'll go back over here, and we're going to go ahead and simulate. We'll turn on our stock here. We can watch our simulation and see, make sure it's doing our holes first. And it's cutting it out. And see, when you fool the tool like that, see how it's getting in all of those little, you know, as far as a 1/16 inch tool can get in there, it's doing. But what we want is one continuous tool path all the way around the contour. If you put in an 1/8 inch end mill, you're not going to get a continuous tool path. It's gonna stop right here and not cut any of this. So if we run an 1/8 inch tool around here, it's just gonna smooth out these lines a little bit. No big deal. It's fine for this, especially since we've already specified to the customer that that's what we're going to do. So always make sure and clear it with your customer, because if you show them an image, it better look like that image when they receive it in the mail, you know, if you want to get any sort of good review. But so that's what our finished cutout looks like. It's cut all the way through. Simulation looks good. We didn't have any crashes, and so we're good to go. And so we'll finish that. Look at our machining time. Minute 20. So minute 20 to cut out both of those foxes. Not too bad. Took us a little bit of design time. Some people say, well, you know, I could have just cut that out on the scroll saw or the band saw super fast. Well, what if the customer calls you the next day and wants 100 of these? I bet they'd be wishing that you had a CNC machine, you know. It may take a little longer to do all this cam and design work and everything else, but, you know, we always like return customers, so if they come back and want 100 of them, we'll just load 100 of these and cut it out. And I have a 4x8 machine, so I could probably cut, I don't know, 400 of these out on the machine, or 300 or 200, I don't know. But I'd have to lay it out. But so that's why I like CNC machines. But so now that we got that, then we'll go ahead and we will post-process. And we'll go here. We want to pick our post-processor. I have a CNC router parts machine, so I use their post-processor. And we'll go over here and find our aluminum fox. And we're going to place it in that file. And I always like to name my files kind of the name of the project. You know, we're going to call this 12-inch Fox at a 0.125 inch tool. And I go ahead and copy that. Also put it over there. And make sure to double check all this. Good to go. Post. And we'll post it there. And then it'll come up with the editor. If you know anything about code, you can double check, make sure all your code looks good. Looks, I don't know, it looks like G code to me, so pretty good. And now we have everything. Our design work's done, our cam work's done, we post-process. Now we can go over to the machine. We'll see you in the shop. Okay, so we're here back in the shop, and we want to turn on, you know, we want to get ready to cut our item. So you gotta go ahead, turn on the machine. We'll load up Mach 3, get it all ready. And first thing that we do is we'll go ahead and reference our machine to home and get it going. Now remember, I said that my starting point, or my origin point, was in the lower left hand corner on my work. Well, my machine still homes in the lower left instead of the lower right. And this is because the way the machine's set up, it homes over there. But you see, my problem is how close it is to my computer monitor, and the way my machine is oriented, it's just not a very good way to, you know, have it home and try to work off that edge over there. I'd much rather work off of this edge over here, make it a whole lot easier. So, alright, so we referenced our machine home. We're going to go ahead and zero all the axis out, and maybe, okay, and then we can go over here, we can load our G code, and we can find our G code that we made for the foxes. Once we do that with 12-inch fox, we'll put 5-inch tool. Okay, we'll load that up. Okay, and then we can go ahead, using our nifty controller, we'll move the machine over to our stock. Now this piece of stock is just a scrap piece. Remember, we're not making a whole lot of money on this, so it doesn't, you know, we don't need to go out and buy a full sheet of material just to cut this. You know, we use what we have on hand. These squares are some squares I cut a long time ago, and you know, they'll work just fine. This customer wants to paint these foxes, and she specified 1/8 inch plywood. So this is 1/8 inch. It's called revolutionary ply or something like that. It's available at your local hardware store. It's pretty cheap material. I use it for prototyping, but if you want a paintable 1/8 inch plywood, this plywood works just fine. And so this is what we're going to cut it out of. And let me get the camera set up here a little bit better for you, a little more stable. Let's see. You're seeing my magic of my tripod. Alright, so there we go. Now for this, we don't need to go crazy with how we're going to hold the material. We just need to get it held down, and there's a bunch of ways to do this. We can use clamps, we can use double-sided tape, we can use composite nails, we can use regular brad nails as long as the machine doesn't hit them, and you know, anything. But this particular case, we're going to use just some clamps and just drill some holes straight into the spoil board, so it won't be an issue. So we'll take our drill and we'll drill down into the spoil board. These are the little clamps that I made, and they'll work. They're quick and they'll work for this type of project. So we'll put 3 or 4 of these on here and call it good. So just need to get it cut out real quick and get it packaged up so we can send it in the mail. No big deal. Okay, so screw it down here. It doesn't really matter either, you know, as long as we can fit our cut in our material, that's all we need to really worry about. We don't need to worry about, you know, if it's oriented really correct or anything like that. So let's put a couple of clamps in here. And call it good. It's held down more or less. And that's all we really need. So we need to, now we need to change the tool from the previous tool. I don't have an automatic tool changer, so you got to change it manually. I would like an automatic tool changer. Those are not cheap. So the bit we're going to use is an Untitled. It's a high-speed steel, because this is just plywood. It's not really going to hurt it. It's a cheap bit. It's a 40-102, and 1/8" bit, 1/4" shank. It'll work great for our purpose right here. So we'll put it in there, get her tightened up. And we'll set our speed on our router. We're going to go about 18,000 RPMs, so that's about setting 4. And really, now we can jog the machine over to our X and Y distance. And it doesn't really matter, this is just cheap material. We're not trying to save a whole lot of it. You know, wherever it fits and wherever it's close, we'll call it good. So we'll set our X and Y right there, zero those out. And the only thing we want to use is we want to use the touch plate to zero the Z axis, just so, you know, we don't cut through our spoil board too much. So we'll place that underneath the bit. Make sure it'll contact the bit. And then we'll just zero the Z axis. If you want to see a video on that touch plate, you can check out another video that I have. I'll put the link in the description below. But we'll go ahead and auto zero the Z real quick. Alright, so we zeroed our X, Y, and Z, and now we're ready to go. So what we'll do is we'll turn the router on and we'll hit cycle start, cut them out. As you can see, using that 1/8" tool, even though we set it up for a 1/16" tool, it still cut out just fine. And we didn't have to use any hold downs or nothing. And there's the finished foxes right there. And we're good to go. The only next thing that we can do is a little bit of finishing. And we'll take a file, see, I make a little bit of a rough edge right there. And we can just take a file and clean up all the edges. That's pretty much it with the machine work, and then after that they'll be ready to go. So after I finish cleaning up those, I'll see you back in the office and we'll wrap it up for shipping. Alright, so we're back here at Etsy and we're going to get ready to print our shipping label. So we'll go over here, we'll click on the order, and then we want to go ahead and push on print shipping label. And once we do that, then we'll go get our shipping label screen here, and we can fill out all the information. The address gets pre-filled, but then we need to pick the package type, and I like to use the padded envelope for this. And then I'll put in a weight of 2 pounds or so, because you have a 15-pound weight limit with the padded envelope. And so the Foxes, I don't know what they weigh, but they're really light, and for shipping these, this is the cheapest method because of their size. So we'll just put in a generic weight of 2 pounds. That'll get us covered and make sure there's no issues when the product arrives to her. Then we'll click confirm and buy, and then it'll pop up with a message. We want to go ahead and purchase it. Then we want to go ahead and print our shipping label, and then here's our shipping label. And then we'll go ahead and print it out and put it on the package. And once we do that, this is showing that our item has had a shipping label assigned to it, and we're good to go. That's it. So now the next step is to go and actually package the item. Alright, so now we're here and we're about ready to ship the items, get them all packaged up and everything. Here's the Foxes after they're all sanded and cleaned up and looking good for shipment to the customer. So we'll go ahead, and the key with this is we want to keep the cost of shipping low, because you can really hurt yourself on shipping costs. I use primarily USPS. Sometimes I use FedEx, UPS. Just depends where it's going. If it's going international, sometimes it's cheaper. But USPS is the preferred way for me shipping small stuff like this. And I don't really use the flat rate boxes, but I like the flat rate envelopes, the padded envelopes. They work really good for these type of cutouts. 12 inch is about the biggest size that you can put in them. But another thing I do is I save all my old packing materials and stuff like that, and I'll reuse them to give an extra layer of protection. And so far to date, I've never had an item that I provided to a customer damaged in transit. So that's something I take a lot of pride in, and I work real hard to keep that from happening. So first thing I'm going to do is I take a little bit of blue tape and I'll tape these boxes together so they won't move. And this is that low tack blue tape. It won't hurt the finish. I don't like using the other masking tape, the brown stuff or whatever you call it, because that seems, this is low tack, designed to come on and off, just as long as it's not on there for like months. But don't imagine. So then we'll put it in our little protective sleeve here, and it fits in there real nice. We'll take another little piece of tape and kind of take that shut so it don't fall out, and call it good right there. So we have one layer of protection, and then we'll put it in our envelope, and this one will fit straight in here, possibly. Fits in pretty good, maybe. Alright, so got that in there. Fits right in our envelope there. Now, one thing I'll do is newspaper's cheap, and it works really good as filler. You don't necessarily have to buy it. You can pretty much find old newspapers anywhere. And it works real good for a small business like mine. So I'll put a few layers of that in there just to make sure, that nothing's gonna hurt it. On these flat rate envelopes like this, you have a 15-pound weight limit on these flat rate ones. So the more padding that you can add in there, the better, so your products don't get destroyed. Because if your product gets destroyed, then your customer is not going to be happy, and you're going to have to remake it on your dime and send it on your dime, and we don't want to do that. So I'll put a little bit in there, and for some extra protection. Then I print out these little labels: fragile, handle with care, and I'll take some packing tape and I'll tape it straight on there. And all that pretty good. I don't like these tape dispensers, they suck. So call that good. And now we're pretty much, I just got to add the shipping label and then another little address label that I print out for me, and that'll go on there, shipping label, and an invoice will go in the package, and now it's ready to go in the mail. So that's it for this little video series, just kind of start to finish on all of the different items it takes and what it takes to take an item from a customer order to a finished product. And hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel, and if you got any comments you want to put below, or video requests you want me to make different videos, contact me directly at my email. It'll be listed below as well. So thank you.